You had the Green Revolution where, contrary to how good it sounds in modern jargon, it was when pesticides and all sorts of chemical fertilizers started being added to the farming community. People recognizing that this wasn't something they wanted to be a part of, wanted natural foods, and in many places they couldn't get it. So they started co-ops. Most of the food co-ops that exist today came with that second wave, that stroke BriarPatch, obviously starting in 1976, maybe on the tail end of it. I believe Rainbow was one of the first ones. I'm not sure their founding date. Sacramento Natural Foods, 75, Davis, 76. So all in that kind of period, this need started getting met by co-ops again. And as Jeannie mentioned, suddenly in the last 2 years, 3 years, we've seen this just surge of communities calling people like me and saying, hey, we want a co-op here. How do we do it? What do we do? You want to come put one in here for us? Can we buy yours? And it's amazing to see. I saw a, unfootnoted statistic that there are over 300 communities in the United States that are currently exploring food co-ops, which is huge. I mean, it's amazing. It's really a third wave. I personally worked with Placerville that Jeannie mentioned. They knew that their local natural foods market was being sold. It was owned by an individual, and he wanted to retire. And the community, the market's not great for selling grocery stores right now, so the community got together and put together a co-op to buy it. The Great Basin Co-op in Reno, I've also worked with them. They're working on expansion. They've been together for about 7 or 8 years. 2 sisters got out of college. They started it in their living room. Just started buying bags of rice and dividing up among their friends and advertising it. And then one of their friends had a record store and said, I got 50 square feet in the back. You can use that as your delivery spot. We can get a truck in there. Went up a notch. They did that for a while. Record store went out of business, go figure. And they filled in the rest of the spot. They went from 50 to 150 square feet, which is less than this room, but it was an upgrade. And they did that for a few years, and just more and more popularity. If you've been to Reno, you know that if you're looking for natural foods, local foods, you're going all the way across town to Whole Foods at best, and not really getting that need met there or anywhere else. They then got a building in the kind of the art section, and I think it was an upgrade from 150 square feet, but it was less than 1,000. I think it was about 500 square feet, and grew that business to over $1 million in sales out of this tiny little, I mean, it's like a photo mat. It's or a photo hut, whatever those things were called, blue buildings where you got film developed. Unbelievable success. We're able to save up enough cash, get great community support. They found an old converted building that they got. I mean, just one part has a balcony. They got a guy who does welding to come in. He bought all parts of old tractors that were no longer serviceable and built a railing around the outside of their seating area to code out of old tractors and bicycle parts for free. You know, just community effort coming together. And now they've got a 7,000 square foot market that opened in February, I believe. So it's been a huge success. So there's just this wave going on. It's a long road, as I think Jeannie kind of touched on, to start from square one. Certainly there are a lot of resources out there besides just me as an individual. There's a lot of organizations. There's a group called the Food Co-op Initiative that has great resources for capital, information, all of those kinds of things. The NCGA has some information on that. There's the National Cooperative Business Association. They provide a how to start a co-op manual that gives you the sort of steps, looking at yourselves, determining that there is a need, which, I mean, I can tell you that clearly that this many people showing up to the first meeting is an incredible sign. Forming a board of directors, forming bylaws, articles of incorporation, and then crafting bylaws, doing all the legal work, deciding what kind of co-op you want to be. For those of you who haven't been to BriarPatch, we do a ton of work with local foods, but we also offer all of the national brands for organic and natural foods. We have a pretty strict merchandising policy. I did bring materials, including our newsletter, which has some information related to that. I brought a non-GMO shopping guide, GMOs being one of the biggest food issues that has crossed my paths in the time that I've been involved with food and co-ops, something that we've taken the lead on in our community and really in our community of co-ops. The store sells, when we did $18.7 million in sales in 2011, so we're a big store, 11,000 square feet, grocery, packaged grocery, wellness, supplements, body care. We have a full deli with hot and cold food, salad bar, hot bar, espresso drinks, all the things that you get in a cafe environment, produce department, fresh meat, and seafood counter. One particular success I think that we've had that speaks to what a co-op can do within a community relative to the concepts of local food and sustainability. We had a guy, Jim Gates, who runs Nevada County Free Range Beef up there. 10 years ago he was doing his beef part-time during the days, and he was working nights at an insulation factory. When my predecessor, the former general manager, went to him and said, hey, we're gonna expand, we're gonna build a big store, it's gonna more than double our size. We'd like to bring in some local beef, want to know if you're up to the challenge. Jim said sure. He is from a ranching family. He began to plan, buy the calves to make that happen, and now he quit his job in the insulation factory, and we've done over $150,000 in purchases from him in 2011. So swoops up and people walk into our store and you're looking at what looks like a normal grocery store meat case. You've got an entire 4-foot section of beef that is grown, a stone's throw behind you. I drive my kids to school every day and I'm like, there's the cows. Don't stare at them, glare at them, don't let them intimidate you. So that's just sort of an example. We buy from 55 local farms. This season, we do a planning session every year with all of our farmers to communicate what volume we think we can do and let them communicate what they think they can grow and see where we match and where we don't. 55 farms, with the majority of our local stuff coming from about 7 or 8 of them. Those of you who are familiar with our part of Highway 49 know that there's a emerging agricultural scene up there, just like there is here. It's not been traditionally farmed in. It's hard to find a flat piece of ground without a rock in it, for one thing. But as it's growing, we are looking to serve and help develop that. Certainly, our planning sessions form a place where there's good communication. And when we first started doing that, it was very kind of standoff and a little bit competitive. I don't want to tell him what I'm going to grow. Well, we're going to grow cucumbers. You're both going to grow cucumbers. Let's just get it on the table and time it out so that we can buy it from both of you. Getting coordinated, getting in sync with each other. Helping our local businesses to develop business savvy, business skills, teaching them how to inventory, helping them to have the resources to learn how to manage their product better. All of them could grow great food, but some of those skills weren't quite as realized. So the co-op became a central point for that to emerge. I have to note here that I can talk for